I mean, there just has to be a reason why. Guten Yardening, everybody. We are in phase 2 of our potato sucker growing experiment. And to give you just a little bit of background, we have the premise that if potatoes are related to tomatoes and you can grow tomato plants that fruit from tomato suckers, then why not try it with potato suckers? In our first version of this experiment, we had some limited success where we saw some small development of red potatoes, and then we saw one little bit larger, about pea-sized potato in the end. But both of those potato suckers eventually died. And so after that set of experiments finished, we decided to move on to phase 2. And in front of me right now, we have phase 2. Now, rather than taking a potato sucker, putting it in water for several weeks, and then transplanting it to a soilless potting mix, we've decided to see what we could do by taking 3 suckers in 3 different water solutions. We have our control, which is a sucker in just plain water. Then we have 2 solutions where we've added some liquid fertilizer, one focused on blooms and one focused on root growth. And we wanted to see what would happen if we covered them in foil and let them sit and try to develop. And I can already assure you that we see some pretty incredible results, but maybe not the way we anticipated. So the first thing I want to do before I open these up is to get a little bit up close with each one. And you can see here that our growth fertilizer that's supposed to focus on root growth, we have some definite problems. It's wilting back, it's actually browning up a little bit, and when I open up the foil here, you'll see what's happening to the stem as well. And the same thing can be said for the version that's supposed to have effect on blooms. Maybe even more so, because we see even more browning. These leaves are drying out, we see wilting, and again, I'll show you what that stem looks like when we get down there. And then, surprisingly, to me, very surprisingly, the one that we placed in water looks almost perfect. It's not wilting, the greens still look nice and healthy, and there's no fertilizer. This is just plain water. I don't know, I'm incredibly surprised by this, that this is where we are so far, again, a little bit over a week into this experiment. So the next thing I want to do is I want to remove the foil from each of these and take a look at what we're seeing on the stems. To me, this is almost like unwrapping a present. So we're going to start with the one that is supposed to, again, work with root growth or root development. So we opened it up and we're going to look in here as close as we can and see what's going on. And really, I don't see much of anything developing. If anything, the stem itself looks like it's almost weak. So I'm going to try to gently pull this out. Oh, and actually that's what it is. This is the stem bent over in half. Now I'm not going to touch it and try my best not to touch it. Let me move this out of the way so you can see this clearly. There we go. It's like a floppy, watery mess. I mean, there's been no development. If anything, it's basically dead and just waiting to go away from being green at all. That's the root one, and clearly something in that fertilizer reacted with the stem and not in a good way. Now let's move on to the liquid fertilizer that's supposed to work with blooms. And we're seeing the exact same thing. Okay, I'm going to gently remove this one as well. It's almost like it's about to fall apart. So again, I know how sometimes fertilizer can burn a plant, and I'm wondering if, I mean, even liquid fertilizer in water, I'm wondering if that might be what's happened here. I really don't know why it's causing it to rot like this. But again, it's essentially dead. There's nothing else there. It's no wonder it's turning brown. All right, let's move on to the water. All right, here we go. The big reveal for the only one that is looking like it's still alive and doing just fine. Let's see what's happening down here. And I actually don't want to pull it out. But you can see it more clearly because there is nothing in here. Nothing in here that's discoloring the water like that fertilizer. I mean, the stem itself looks like it's in pretty good shape. You can see some leaves. Actually, something forming here. The beginnings of something forming here. I don't know if we're keeping out enough light. Again, what happened when we transplanted this over to the soilless potting mix last time is that these places here along the stem, remember, potatoes are part of the stem. It's like a modified stem material. They were able to differentiate and become potatoes as they were growing. So, I mean, why? This is a piece that is just confounding to me. How this one has no fertilizer, no food, seems to be doing fine, and the other two are dead. So with everything we're seeing here, the next question is, what's next? Because clearly the liquid fertilizer was not the solution we were looking for in trying to get these potatoes to develop. If we're doing better with water, we have to figure out how to modify this in a way that we can add nutrients, because we need to add some nutrients somehow without killing the plant. And so now we're going to open this up to the gardening community. You've already done a great job of providing us with some advice on this in our past experiments, but we want to know what you think we should do to modify this experiment to potentially get better results. We are open to any and all suggestions. Whether you're somebody who is a traditional gardener in soil, somebody who is a hydroponics expert, we want to know what you think. We believe there is plenty of potential in this experiment to actually get some potatoes and possibly get them faster, but we have a problem to solve. Now, we're going to keep working this out on our own as well, but if you have an idea, we'd love for you to leave it in the comments. And if you know somebody else who you think would be interested in this experiment and might be able to provide us with some suggestions, please go ahead and share this with them. We would love the feedback. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.